did something really stupid when I was gone. Do you want to know what it is?
So, clicked on the video thinking, is this guy actually gonna go to every rainforest cafe in the country? Technically, that title is a lie. I'm going to every rainforest cafe in the country and Canada.
The Rainforest Cafe. It's a themed restaurant that's decked out to look like a rainforest. They got animatronic animals. The waiters refer to themselves as safari guys. It is the stupidest, most ridiculous restaurant to exist, and I love it so much.
But you're probably asking yourself, why would I do this? Ted asked me if I would be willing to go on a 3-week road trip to hit every single rainforest cafe in the country and Canada. So obviously, my response was, Ted, that is quite possibly the stupidest idea for a trip I have ever heard in my life, and I am in.
This Rainforest Cafe odyssey began by stopping at the closest location to LA in Ontario, California.
And as we got closer, my excitement grew. Walking up to that mall and seeing that beautiful sign with running water. The Rainforest Cafe. Don't zoom out. Don't zoom out, because then you can just see most of it's a blank wall, and they just made a little tiny sign in a big, big wall.
Walking into that random mall in California, I knew that we were about to embark on something truly special.
So we got everybody together, we walked in, and there it was, the first Rainforest Cafe out of 18. Initial thoughts? I like it here. Oh boy, it was something. Monkeys everywhere. So many, I cannot stress how many vines there are in this restaurant. As we walked in, we noticed these large aquarium pillars that seem to be missing, it's an important aspect of an aquarium. I'm trying to remember what it's called. Oh, fish. Yeah, there's no fish. Just a bunch of bubbles.
Entering this holy place made me feel like a young boy again. The animatronics seemed so real.
But as we were seated, there was only one thing on my mind, the menu.
And the menu still had some of my favorites from my childhood.
I still hadn't seen the menu, and I couldn't have guessed the things I would read next.
Gorilla grilled cheese delight and the Jurassic chicken tidbits. What is a tidbit?
Rasta pasta. All right. And then we get stuff like Iggy's Piggy Sandwich or Mojo Bones. And it really started to hit me that these were some of my only meal options for the next 21 days. Whether I liked it or not, Mojo Bones were on the menu.
I'm pretty sure we made our server's day by actually signing up for the Rainforest Cafe members card, which normally wouldn't have much use, but for our specific situation made a lot of sense. Then all of a sudden, without any warning, our first rainforest thunderstorm.
I did not know that Rainforest Cafe has thunderstorms. Yep, those thunderstorms, I believe, happen every 20 minutes, and I will be at Rainforest Cafe a lot, so I will experience these every 20 minutes, most days. And finally, I made a stop in the bathroom, and I could not have guessed what would happen when I walked through that little King of the Jungle door. A full safari surrounding the urinals and urinal cakes. Birds staring at me pee, watching, judging. I couldn't escape the rainforest even if I tried. I was like Robin Williams in Jumanji.
We waved goodbye to this first Rainforest Cafe to prepare for our road trip to every single other location of this restaurant.
So it's the morning of. It's really starting to hit me that I'm gonna be on the road for 3 weeks. And then I think, like, why am I gonna be on the road for 3 weeks? To go to every rainforest cafe in the country. And somebody might say, oh, that sounds fun. You know, 3 weeks of travel on the road with your girlfriend, seeing the whole country. No, not my girlfriend, Ted.
This is the stupidest thing I think either of us have ever done.
I walked out of my apartment and I was like, oh my God, I'm not gonna be back for 3 weeks because I'm doing this.
There's gonna be so much driving. And we're doing that driving in my 2002 Toyota Tacoma. Forest green, aesthetically rusted from the New England winters, and also the only car that I've had for the last 8 years. That's right, I drive myself to high school in this car, and I'm almost 25. The first startup of the truck.
Can you imagine if it didn't?
From LA, we drove 384 miles to Phoenix, Arizona, where we'd find our second Rainforest Cafe.
There it was, in the beautiful Phoenix sun, our second Rainforest Cafe.
And you might be asking why I'm doing this in the first place. I was one of the children whose childhood was blessed with a Rainforest Cafe-filled life. It was the best thing that ever happened to my small, tiny, frail body. But that's not the only reason.
A popular family restaurant in Johnson County closes its doors.
Popular restaurant Rainforest Cafe abruptly closes its doors.
The theme restaurant Rainforest Cafe has closed its location in the Oak Park Mall.
Outside today, a crew worked on taking
The Rainforest Cafe is dying out. At its peak, there was 34 Rainforest Cafes in the United States. Today, that number has been whittled down to half. And if I didn't go to every last Rainforest Cafe in the country, I don't know if I would even be able to look at myself. So yeah, here we are at Rainforest Cafe number 2.
It was again in a mall that looked identical to the one before. The last one was in Ontario Mills, and this was Arizona Mills. A lot of the Rainforest Cafes are in identical malls that are a place and then mills after it. Walked in, still no fish, just a bunch of bubbles again. I ordered the Rainforest Burger, and it was a chain burger, like getting a burger at Applebee's. It was about a 5 out of 10, and the fries were actually pretty good.
Eddie and I decided to share the flatbread appetizer, which was served on a very fancy stone platter, typical of your higher-end eating establishment.
For Rainforest Cafe, this was awesome. If I got this at a nicer restaurant, I would not think so. But for Rainforest Cafe, this is the best thing I've had so far.
I got a Beyond Burger with one of my favorite sides, safari fries. What makes them different from normal fries? You're eating them on a safari.
And we were seated next to 2 elephant animatronics. And they were loud.
And hey, what's a Rainforest Cafe without random animal heads sticking out of the walls without very clear proportion guidelines?
At the Phoenix Rainforest Cafe, everything happens to be loud, including the thunderstorms. I forgot to mention that yesterday there were 4 thunderstorms while we ate. I'm going to keep a total Rainforest Cafe thunderstorm counter just to make sure we don't miss any. So there were 4 yesterday and 3 during this meal. So we're at a total of 7 thunderstorms already.
With that, we've hit Rainforest Cafe number 2, on to number 3.
And 4.
And then 5, and then 6. We're somewhere in New Mexico right now, and we're about to go camping in the middle of the desert. We're little crunchy granola boys sometimes.
I would say mostly not me, but I'm hoping I have a good experience.
Eddie's a big crunchy
I like
guy.
beds.
Everyone refers to Eddy Burback as like Mr. Groundhog.
I don't know about that. I know that it was Eddie top 10 on trending Burback.
Okay.
Recently, Eddie the King of the Squirts.
We're now at our campsite, baby. We're in the middle of nowhere in New Mexico.
Bug is attacking me.
Tomorrow, we're heading to the Dallas Rainforest Cafe.
I could not believe how beautiful this place was.
We set up our camp, made a little fire,
It was so cool to camp here.
and as we sat there under the stars, we dreamed of all the Rainforest Cafe visits we had left in store, weeks of experience in front of us. The world was our oyster, or should I say rainforest. That was so stupid, that didn't even make any sense. Good morning, everyone. It's 5:30 in the morning, and we have to drive an additional 10 hours to make it to our next Rainforest Cafe. If we don't, our plans will be squandered.
We have reservations tonight.
First, we hit White Sands National Park, which is pretty literal to the name.
Look how pretty it is.
There's sand dunes everywhere, baby. What the hell is going on? Why is this in America?
Okay, that's enough.
From there, we began our 621-mile trek to Dallas, Texas. And when you've got 10 hours of drive time, sometimes roadside attractions become as enticing as ever.
Oh, Eddie, Pistachio Land.
Okay.
Pistachio Land. Have you ever seen the largest pistachio before? Chances are no.
And I'm fine with that. I could be on my deathbed and someone would go, "What are your regrets?" And I would say, definitely not missing out on the largest pistachio.
There's another one.
Yeah, they're billboard ads.
They want us to go.
That's how advertising works.
Bigger is better. That's so true. Bigger is better.
You can freak out all you want.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to forgive you or myself if I don't see the largest pistachio in the world.
I can't stress enough how much I can live with that.
It's the largest pistachio
We're not
in
going
the
to
world.
the fucking pistachio.
Okay, well, I'm satisfied.
As we moved into Dallas for Rainforest Cafe number 3, I started to become very confused with the quality of rainforest cafes in this state. Because getting to Grapevine Mills, yes, it was in another mall similar to the ones before, I was shocked to find that there were people there, and they were enjoying themselves.
It's a miracle. We're not the only ones.
They also had fish. Something mysterious and possibly illegal was going on here. I got a rainforest burger again so I could directly compare it to the one in Phoenix. The Phoenix one was just okay, and this one was pretty good? What is going on?
It could be because of a theory I've held for a while that I was seeing in the flesh for the first time. The Rainforest Cafe Texas Supercluster Theory. This is the Texas Rainforest Cafe Supercluster, as I've mentioned, which means I think that all of the restaurants in this area are going to be higher quality. They're going to be busy, they're going to have lots of people, food's going to be good, drinks are going to be popping. We've barely scratched the surface, ladies and gentlemen, of what we can discover.
It's a pretty good sign if a specific Rainforest Cafe is completely booked up. The Galveston one, the San Antonio one, they're both booked up out the wazoo.
Now we're starting to reserve rainforest cafes ahead of time.
We cannot afford to not get into one of these rainforest cafes.
The Galveston one apparently has somebody said it was a ride, then I heard it was a water ride.
If there is even a chance that we can go on the Galveston Rainforest Cafe ride, I want it.
We gotta do it.
In my mind right now, I'm imagining like a tiger-themed roller coaster that goes through the restaurant, and I don't think it's gonna be anything like that.
And we drove from Dallas all the way down to San Antonio to reach Rainforest Cafe number 4.
And this one was cool? It was on a river walk in the middle of the city? I don't understand. So this Rainforest Cafe is like actually a cool spot to eat. That doesn't really make sense to me. I'm supposed to be in a mall and depressed.
We also met up with some pals here that you may know. This location was cool because it had 3 floors to it. It was really compressed into the location it was in, which was unique to this Rainforest Cafe, I believe.
I got the turkey club there, and after multiple days of Rainforest Cafe and camping food, it was really good and fresh, and I liked it.
Everyone in the group had a fantastic time, and I was proud to say that we converted them into RFC lovers. Don't believe me? Listen to them.
They gave me a freaking light up cup, and it was sick.
They had my name on one of the keychains. I really appreciate that.
They ran out of toilet seat covers, but they did have 2-ply toilet paper.
Connor had a panic attack.
So our plan of moving through Texas was going great.
Unfortunately, though, the truck started being a bit louder than normal.
The truck started to make this noise.
It's not supposed to sound like that, but. So I drove the truck to the nearest Midas repair shop. If we were gonna stay on schedule, the truck had to be fixed and fast.
So the next morning, I got some well-needed rest as Ted waited at 8 a.m. in a Midas in Austin, Texas.
To see my broken green child hurting like this was almost too much to bear. But what was even harder to bear was what I had to deal with while I waited for it to be fixed. For some reason, at 7:30 a.m. in the morning, they decided to play Saving Private Ryan on the TV at almost full volume. I don't think you understand the fever dream of watching people's heads be blown off on the beaches of Normandy at 7:30 a.m. in a Midas waiting room like it was Good Morning America. And I watched the entirety of Saving Private Ryan. Then I stepped outside briefly to get some air and make some calls, and I come back in to see that Saving Private Ryan was playing a second time. I was in the most uniquely crafted scenario in hell. Thankfully, the truck got fixed in time, but now something within within me is broken. Before we left Austin, though, we got a little peek into the rainforest by getting to meet the animals at Alveus Animal Sanctuary.
Maya showed us around. This place is so cool. I got to hold a snake. I got to hold a bird. I got to pet an emu.
Which is a terrifying bird that seems like it should not exist. And I made friends with the crows. They will remember me with their 5th grader brains as an ally to the world of crows.
This is a crow.
His name's Rabbit.
He's gonna remember my face.
Thank you, Maya, for having us. This was so cool.
And you know, these animals sort of reminded me of all the mascots for the Rainforest Cafe. They're called the Wild Bunch, and they're all known criminals. You've got Cha-Cha, the red-eyed tree frog, a money launderer. Iggy the iguana, a thief. Nile the crocodile, arrested for drunk driving. Rio the macaw, an infamous poacher. Maya the jaguar, tax evasion. Tuki the elephant, cyberbully. Bamba the gorilla, in the can for assault and battery. And Ozzy the orangutan, weed.
All right, back to the trip. And after a stressful day of worrying about the truck, I will be honest, this Rainforest Cafe broke me. I was exhausted after 5 days of travel, and this was probably the most depressing Rainforest Cafe we'd been to. Look at the mouth on this elephant. Don't look away, don't skip, look at it.
This Rainforest Cafe was a pretty standard mall Rainforest Cafe.
Right now, I am at a low energy-wise, mental health-wise. This guy's judging me for it. This guy's got his nipples out. I don't even know what this guy's doing. I got the Creole mac and cheese, and while it looks pretty good, it was so rich and filling and creamy that I could only get through a couple of bites, and I felt terrible about wasting this food.
We went to bed that night thinking of the Rainforest Cafe we had tomorrow. The #1 Rainforest Cafe in Texas, Galveston. We were greeted the next morning by the most impressive Rainforest Cafe we had seen yet. A beautifully shaped volcanic building along with a handy sign that showed us the one and only Rainforest Cafe ride.
This Rainforest Cafe was a full waterfall volcano building directly on the beach. And it did in fact have a separate building next to it for a ride. Say goodbye to the boring Rainforest Cafe malls. This palace stood on its own, not connected to a Wetzel's Pretzels or a lid store where in 2011 they sold so many flat brim caps with superhero logos.
This was gonna be one for the books. This location was popping.
And unlike Katie Mills, I was feeling amazing.
And we ate some of the most delicious general American chain restaurant food money could buy.
So I ordered one of their ices and their souvenir cups so I could get a little cup with
that money launderer's head on it.
I'm having the greatest lunch of my life.
Ted and I started having the best time of our lives. They had better mozzarella sticks as an appetizer. Everyone in there was happy, and I was happy enough that I ordered the most embarrassing thing to say on the menu, and I did say all of this out loud. Hello, I would like the Iggy's Piggy sandwich, please. Serve it to me in a trough and give me a little pig nose so I can oink while I scarf it down like a hog. The sandwich was pretty damn good. I think there was a little too much meat. Iggy's sandwich was just a tad too much piggy, but other than the turkey club, this is probably the best thing that I've had so far. This has been the highest high of the entire trip. Ted and I were having the best time of our lives.
To say we were blown away would be an understatement. That was the greatest thing I had ever seen. I almost didn't even want to leave.
Ted and I had surely been changed for the rest of our lives from this experience.
I mean, wow.
Wow, this lived up and I think was a little bit better than I expected.
Am I kind of turning you over to the side of the Rainforest Cafe?
Well, no. If we weren't doing this video and you said like, do you want to go to the Rainforest Cafe for like another time this month? I'd still probably say no. Is your enjoyment ramping up no matter the location, just every time we go to one? You're not tired of the safari fries for the 6th time in a row?
Here's what I'll say. I think if you just get a little bit more Rainforest Cafe, it'll click for you.
No, so the problem is that I'm having too much much.
Why don't we table this for a little bit, I suppose?
We can table it.
Why don't we
but-
table this conversation?
Yeah, I'm not gonna change my opinion.
So we headed for the night to New Orleans and walked around Bourbon Street. We had a great time drinking. Everything about this place was so much fun. Some days on a road trip across the country, you go to the best rainforest cafe of your life and you end the night in New Orleans. And some days you drive 8 hours from New Orleans to Gainesville. And that's pretty much all that happened.
What is that? I was blessed with a vision of a mascot character advertising a gas station called Bucky's, and I just had to make us stop and check out what the hell was going on.
I forced Eddie to push a Bucky's run because we'd never been to Bucky's before.
We were out of gas. Ted had to skip multiple gas stations to go to Bucky's.
This was the most massive gas station shop I had ever seen. They had everything. Some guy was chopping a brisket like it was the only thing that he had ever learned in his entire life. This beaver was running an empire under my nose the entire time, and they sold everything. They had jelly. They had jam. Is there even a market for pickled quail eggs? Even the ice was funny. 69, that's the sex number. My love for mascots. My love for theme. I just couldn't handle it.
I just feel like you're kind of a sucker for mascotted brands.
What do you mean?
On day 8, we reached the southernmost rainforest cafe in the United States, just outside of Miami, Florida, for our 7th visit to this magical place.
I can't stress enough, you're seeing a montage of this. I was so exhausted. It was 8 straight days, over 48 hours of driving, with pretty much nothing but sleep, driving, and rainforest cafes. It was like a woodpecker on my brain. I was so exhausted at this point. And it didn't help that the Fort Lauderdale Sawgrass Mills Rainforest Cafe was in another mall. Oh my God, it's another boring mall. Fun. I got the Blue Mountain chicken sandwich. It was fine. The chicken was really dry, but when I went to the bathroom, I realized something interesting. I was away from friends and family, but wherever I went, these monkeys were here for me. They weren't just paintings on a wall at a jungle-themed restaurant across malls in America. No, these monkeys were my friends. We'd been through stuff together. They were here for me no matter where I went. These were my pals. These were my boys. So I don't know a lot about the future of this trip, but I do know that my mental health is being held up by these monkeys on the wall. And that's how I know I'm doing fine.
Although this Rainforest Cafe wasn't the one in Florida I was most excited about, that would come when we drove back north to Orlando. Upon arriving in Orlando, we met up with our girlfriends who had just flown in. Nice to see ya. And we met up with Drew and Amanda, who would be joining us for this stop at the Disney Springs Rainforest Cafe.
Am I in the shot?
Oh, yeah.
Am I in the shot?
Yeah, get it? Yeah.
Am I in the shot?
Oh, you are totally, yes,
Was I in the shot doing it?
This Rainforest Cafe had an exterior that was an even more intense volcano building than Galveston.
I didn't know it would do that.
This dinner was very cursed.
And the classic crocodile for this one was just hanging out next to the volcano. Walking into this Rainforest Cafe, I knew that we'd be convincing Amanda and Drew to join our RFC fan club. The atmosphere was on point. This was a pretty good one.
Yeah.
And this happens every time?
This happens every 20 minutes.
Oh, okay.
And I was gonna get something healthy, but Drew pointed out on the menu that there was a $40 steak, and that usually isn't on the menu, so I bought a $40 steak at the Rainforest Cafe. We also tried a lot of appetizers because we were in a big group. There was a pepperoni flatbread that we were sure was just pizza, and we were correct.
Drew and Amanda were having so much fun that we had to take an RFC fan club family photo to savor the memory. Look at us.
Finally, my steak came, and it was actually pretty good. I should note, it was pretty good for what I expected at the Rainforest Cafe. So after a big meal of appetizers and our own entrees, the waiter said, "The next time you see me, I'll have the check." And then he disappeared for 40 minutes.
We got to spend extra time listening to elephant screams and thunder claps.
How do you feel about number 4 of the night for thunderstorms?
Easily the scariest one so far. The others, I was like, they're not even trying, but this
unnecessary. I'm shaking in my boots. I bought some boots and I'm shaking in them right now. Those are really nice. Yeah. You're shaking a lot. Yeah, they come all the way up to my thigh. Yeah, I like that.
And we were just very ready to get out of there.
Drew was practically overwhelmed with satisfaction.
What a time, Eddie. What a time.
Chrissy, if I murdered him, will you vouch for me to the police? We're going to Disney.
After Disney Springs was the Rainforest Cafe just outside of Animal Kingdom.
We are currently at the most exclusive Rainforest Cafe location, hidden within the confines of a transnational multimedia conglomerate. It's Animal Kingdom Rainforest Cafe. What a delight.
Really, there's a real mouthful.
But that's not the only thing that made this Rainforest Cafe special.
They had a breakfast menu, which means I didn't have to eat the normal menu for a day.
That's right, we were there at 9 a.m. and we were gonna start our day with a rainforest-themed breakfast feast. This breakfast selection came with its own menu, with a slew of options somehow more ridiculous than the normal menu. Jurassic chicken tidbits, I raise you pie of the viper, a Mexican-style breakfast pizza. It's like they spun those 3 descriptors on a slot machine.
We got breakfast sandwiches, they were pretty good.
I don't know if it was because the eggs were fresh or they just put crack in them, but those sliders were good.
Ted got a Bloody Mary at 9 a.m. before we walked around Disney in the sun for the day.
But I only did it because I was trying to get something out of it, but I'll tell you what that is when I finish this trip. Of course, after leaving, the only thing that was on our minds was to go on an actual safari.
Did you guys know that the Animal Kingdom park actually turned the Rainforest Cafe animatronics into like real things that walk around? I mean, the money that Disney has to make these animatronics, look, it almost looks like it's eating off a tree.
The only thing that would have made this better is if I had a plate full of safari fries on my lap. I was over the moon.
It was a really, really fun day at Disney, and afterwards, Chrissy and I got to go get some sushi, walk around the boardwalk, and I thought, man, this is such a great end to the trip. I had driven so much, we had accomplished a lot, and I just was ready to go home.
Of course, moments like these can't last forever.
Sorry? We're only about halfway through? But no, that can't, you must have miscounted that. There can't be more. That's too many. I'm already so fucking exhausted of this Rainforest Cafe, this safari fries. I can't eat a fucking another one. Let me just, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's, oh shit. No, oh God. Oh God. No, don't make me keep going. Please don't make me keep going. Please.
Nashville, Tennessee.
I was very low energy. It's the 10th Rainforest Cafe in 12 days, and also 11 a.m.
Possibly the most out-of-the-way Rainforest Cafe on the entire route.
However, Ted was not exactly where I was energy-wise.
Oh, fuck. Oh, my God. Oh, my goodness gravy. Oh, my goodness. Hot dog. Hot diggity dog.
Do you guys think that maybe I could ask the Rainforest Cafe people to dunk Ted headfirst in the tank and leave him there?
We left so early in the morning that we got there before it had even opened, so we waited. It's an interesting sensation to sit in a mall at 11 a.m. and wait for a Rainforest Cafe to open.
Orty Mills was another Mills Rainforest Cafe. The mall looked near identical on the inside from like 8 other malls we had been to. I lost count. I don't even know where I am anymore. We had about a couple of minutes to kill, so we went into this Nashville store and tried some hats on.
Wow.
Howdy, darling.
There was a shocking amount of people in this Rainforest Cafe at 11 a.m. And since this location didn't even serve breakfast, what are you here for? Brunch at the Rainforest Cafe? This location is also where we learned an interesting fact about why some of the Rainforest Cafes get rid of the fish. They spend $3.5 million a year per location just for the fish, which is probably why this fish has been staring me down the whole time we ate. He knew he was more expensive than me, and he wanted me to know it.
So I got the turkey club, which I know is a bit boring to get it again.
Eddie and I were having the time of our lives.
I feel like death today from so many Rainforest Cafes.
I could just tell.
And my turkey club was fine. But before we left, I had something very important to do.
Cheating on her.
You fart with that thing?
Ma'am, do you fart with that thing?
I don't mean to be crass, but can I see your mud flaps?
travel. Eventually, it was time for us to leave Tennessee and make our way further north. We were heading to the Atlantic City Rainforest Cafe, and we were on a roll. Two rainforest rascals rolling down the open road, going to every location of a beautiful themed restaurant. Everything was going great. Nothing could stop us. That is, of course, until disaster struck us, like lightning to an animatronic gorilla.
We've run into a bit of an issue of a caliber that may be a big problem. Very large problem, actually.
We passed over. I wouldn't describe it as a highway bump. You know those bits of the highway where there's a little bit of a guardrail and the pavement goes up like a tiny little bit and then goes back down. We went over it in the truck, and immediately the truck bounced like fucking crazy.
I noticed the truck was aggressively leaning to one side, and when I checked under it, I discovered this.
That is the suspension right there. It has snapped off.
As far as I know, it would be a really, really bad idea to drive this car without the shocks.
The damage was so bad we had to get the truck towed to the nearest repair shop. For now, Atlantic City had to wait.
We were both unsure if this was the end of the trip.
Yeah, I got basically going over, I'm on a road trip right now. I was driving my truck and we went over a bump in the road, and I'm 90% sure, based on visually looking at it, that the front left shock like snapped.
So the tow company told Ted that they can only fit one person in a tow truck. So I'm gonna Uber. I'm out in the rain, but I'm trying to stay dry. As Ted is over there with the Tacoma as it gets loaded onto a tow truck.
We're getting the car towed.
And now we're splitting up and we're gonna meet at the hotel. Feels a bit weird, but just bye. I'll see you in a bit.
Yeah, bye, I guess. See you later.
So there's only one seat in there. I can't go with Ted, but it feels weird to just like abandon him with the tow truck and go back to the hotel by myself. This is so stupid. This whole idea is so dumb, and you hear the idea and you're like, oh, that'd be so funny. That'd be so funny if we went on this trip. And then you're on day 13 and you're in the rain and the truck breaks down and you don't know what you're gonna do.
I stood there in the drizzling rain of Delaware as I watched my steed be hauled away. The rain felt like what I had experienced in a rainforest, not so unfamiliar to me now. I knew in my heart that there was a way to get this done in 3 weeks, but tonight we had to stay in hell on earth. Newark, Delaware. This put our road trip plans in a terrible situation. Would we be able to get the truck fixed tomorrow? Or would parts not come and we'd be waiting a day or 2 days? We literally had no idea. All we could do was wait for tomorrow. We received a rainforest miracle. The truck was fixed. Somehow, they found parts for the truck, and we had a chance to make back the time we lost.
Which was great, but the opposite of a miracle was us having to hit 2 rainforest cafes in 1 day, 2 days in a row.
So we raced as fast as we legally could to Atlantic City like madmen. And when we arrived at this rainforest cafe, we ordered our food and drinks and immediately asked for the check.
We had mozzarella sticks and they were fine. All the food is fine at the Rainforest Cafe. It's all just okay.
We scarfed down mozzarella sticks like starving British orphans, and I sucked down that cheetorita like I was a dehydrated elephant at the watering hole. A quick touch to the Atlantic Ocean, and we kept going, screaming down the roads of New Jersey like our wives were in labor. There wasn't a damn thing that was gonna stop us now. And we arrived just in time to reach the Edison, New Jersey Rainforest Cafe. Oh.
The employees at other rainforest cafes said this is the worst one, and you can tell by the sign outside and the mall that it's in.
I can summarize the state that it was in with this. The crocodile pond was devoid of water.
It looks sad.
We were joined at this lowest performing rainforest cafe with Nakey Jakey and our boy Fritz.
This is the worst location that we heard from other Rainforest Cafe employees. If you look at the sign, let's go.
Despite the flaws of this rainforest cafe, it was still a rainforest cafe. The wow factor was still there, and you could see that Jakey was having a good time.
I ordered a steak at the worst rainforest cafe because I thought it would be funny, and my steak was tiny. Here's my hand for scale, and it was also super dry.
Shout out Wayne Gretzky. The last little tear said everything, dude.
Jakey and Fritz were so inspired by this rainforest cafe that they gave us a little bit of slam poetry.
Rainforest Cafe in the forest, built
like a snake. I'm Forrest Gump. I forgot my rake. And he doesn't like to hump.
Then we drove into New York City, spent some time celebrating our journey thus far with Jakey and friends, and prepared to hit the road once more because we weren't finished yet. On day 15, we reached the American Niagara Falls Rainforest Cafe. And this Rainforest Cafe is significant because I've already been to this Rainforest Cafe before. 4 years ago with my buddy Ross, it's one of the earliest videos on my channel, and I was delighted to see that it was still open.
We had a spinach dip, and it was one of the better things we had, but I'm so tired of being here. But
maybe there is hope. I bought a Niagara Falls Rainforest Cafe crew neck with all my favorite criminals on it.
How do I look?
Yeah, man, it's good, I guess.
And at least Ted and I were done for the day and could... Wait, there's another one in Canada across the bridge? That's the Canada one? There's 2 at Niagara Falls? I have to eat another one today? Oh God, we gotta go to Canada now?
All we had to do was just pass through Border Patrol.
Once you have that code, then you can seek entry to Canada.
Oh.
Right now, unfortunately, you're not able to.
We just got denied entry to Canada.
We did not have the proper information filled out. It's our fault, but we did it. And now we're doing round 2, baby. Round two.
We got in 5 minutes later when we filled out the right paperwork.
My sanity is hanging on just by a thread. So lucky for me, the Canada Rainforest Cafe at Niagara Falls was pretty good.
This Canadian location was unique in that it was the only privately owned rainforest cafe. So the menu was a bit more custom than your average RFC. Even the fish population was custom, and by that, I mean they had a fucking shark. That's my favorite animal from the rainforest. Even the animatronic animals seemed a bit more lively than what we were used to.
Ted and I had front row seats to these gorillas. And I got a plate of salmon that was by far the best thing that I've had at the Rainforest Cafe. This feels weird coming out of my mouth, but it was a good meal. This salmon was really, really good. It wasn't burnt. They wanted to stress that it wasn't burnt. That was the glaze on the side. But this is by far the #1 thing that I've had, and I don't think anything will top this. So Rainforest Cafe, you did it. You made one good plate of food that I consider to be better than Rainforest Cafe quality. Will I give it to the Rainforest Cafe company? No, because this one is privately owned. So yeah, this really, the credit goes to, I guess, this one restaurant.
We also saw this waterfall, but not a Rainforest Cafe, so no reason to care, me say. We stopped at Rainforest Cafe number 15 in Detroit, Michigan.
This is where I started to feel like I was living in Groundhog Day. We drove through more of Canada. We woke up. We drove into Michigan, ate at a Rainforest Cafe.
At this point, I could see the amount of Rainforest Cafes we had been to was weighing on Eddie. We had been to so many thus far, and it was probably impossible for him to figure out what his favorite one was. I really felt for him, because I was going through the same thing.
We drove some more. We stayed at my mom's place in Chicago, but had to immediately leave to go to a Rainforest Cafe in Gurnee, Illinois. Oh my God, I have to go to another one. Luckily, we were joined by my good friend, Danny Gonzalez, and I was very happy to see him, even though I was not very happy to be back at another Rainforest Cafe already.
Danny and I just clicked. He was a Rainforest Cafe lover like myself, and he might have been having a better time than I was, which is, wow. Like, he must have been a veteran too, because he knew Tracy Tree by name.
It's Tracy Tree!
It's a talking tree that's in every single gift shop of every single Rainforest Cafe, and they say the same thing every time.
Check out the wild selection of toys, gifts, and souvenirs right here in the rainforest.
The tree is a sellout. You buy me a souvenir?
Yeah, do you want to get one maybe that says Danny?
One.
You want the?
I want this one.
I bet there's one that says Danny if you want. Okay.
They all say Megan.
Sorry, did you say they all say
Megan? They
Megan?
all say Megan, and that's what I want.
Ted and Danny were having a pretty good time. Listen, I can't do this anymore.
Eddie's joy, I could tell, was more internal. He's more of a philosophical lover of the RFC. Honestly, I think it makes him kind of cool.
I'm so tired of this fucking menu. I got the Korean spicy stir fry. It was okay. The rice was really hard. The chicken was dry. There was way too much sauce at the bottom. And when I went to the bathroom, there were animals there, but my monkey friends weren't there. My monkeys weren't in the bathroom. Do you understand why that's a problem? Look at them. They know I'm having a bad time. They're watching me and laughing. They think I'm a joke. Ted and Danny were having a blast. I can understand it for Danny. This is his first Rainforest Cafe. Ted, however, how is he enjoying this? This is number 16.
Danny and I walked out of there with a glorious safari march, and he loved it so much that he said this.
My favorite thing about the Rainforest Cafe was the way the waiter was so nice, and he reminded me of a real rainforest cafe.
So then we said bye to Danny. It was really good seeing him, and headed for another Rainforest Cafe.
Right now we are heading to Bloomington, Minnesota, which is the location of the second to last Rainforest Cafe and also the first Rainforest Cafe to ever have been opened. This is a very big deal for me. I can't believe that we've been blessed to go to almost every Rainforest Cafe at this point.
Blessed. Maybe words like cursed, imprisoned, spells have been cast on me.
Whoa, come on, man. What are you talking about?
Wingardium Depressioso.
What are you talking about, dude? More like Wingardium Safariosa is what I'm thinking, baby.
So we set our sights on where this rainforest found its roots in the Mall of America.
This was my final boss, because every Rainforest Cafe that has ticked a full year off my life has been located in a mall. And not only is this the original place, it's the biggest mall there is in America.
It was such a maze to navigate through that we made it there just an hour before closing. Lucky for us too, because I think that this was Eddie's favorite Rainforest Cafe yet.
This fucking Rainforest Cafe stood for everything that was standing in my way from going home. We came up on the sign again, and look at them. They're laughing at me. Maya, Iggy, Bamba, Cha-Cha, Rio, and Nile. They knew I was forced to eat this damn menu again. Stuffed my face with safari fries. To have these fucking mozzarella sticks again because Ted ordered them for the billionth time. And speaking of Ted, look at him. Look at him enjoying himself. This is the 17th Rainforest Cafe out of 18. How is he not losing his fucking mind? All I can hear is the rainforest. I can hear the elephants when I go to sleep. When I close my eyes, I see them laughing at me. I can't do another Rainforest Cafe. I just can't fucking do it.
Are you being paid by the Rainforest Cafe?
What are you talking about?
How are you still having a good time?
We're going to every Rainforest Cafe in the United States, Eddie. That's a joy.
Parts of the road trip are fun, but then we fucking end up in another rainforest. We've been to 17 Rainforest Cafes.
And don't you feel like the luckiest person in the world?
Why would that make you feel lucky?
You got animatronic animals, safari fries. Have you tried the safari fries?
If I eat another fucking safari fry, dude, I'm dunking myself in the alligator pit. Slowly as we continue, I'm more and more miserable. Every goddamn mall, every Mills Mall, fucking Katy Mills, Auburn
Mills. Mills Mall are the best ones. They're the ones that bring life to a small town.
Small town, there's suburbs in major cities. It's just a boring fucking mall. I just have no idea how you continue to go to Rainforest Cafe after Rainforest Cafe with the same menu and enjoy it more and more.
Maybe it's because it's all I have.
Oh.
It's all I have. When I was a boy, I went to the Rainforest Cafe and I was a miserable little boy until I stepped through those doors and I saw the animatronic animals. I ate the safari fries. I sipped on the icy with Cha-Cha's head rested upon it like a golden idol. We're going to every single Rainforest Cafe because it's an awesome place. And I don't know what I would do if it was gone.
Do you understand the toll 17 Rainforest Cafes has on your digestive system? I gotta find a moment to try and fix it.
And I gotta find a moment when you'd show me just a sliver of appreciation for this beautiful trip I'm taking you on. But no, we're gonna go to the last Rainforest Cafe, and you are going to enjoy the shit out of it, Eddie. I swear to God.
I'm going to enjoy it. It's the last one. I just want to be done with the trip. Just don't even fucking talk to me until we get there.
Well, maybe I won't.
Good.
Maybe I fucking won't.
Good.
I had been a fool. I was so caught up in teaching Eddie about the wonder of the Rainforest Cafe that I didn't see what was right in front of me the whole time.
We then camped in the desert near Arches National Park, and on the next day, I woke up in the best mood of my life. Today was the final day that I would have to go eat at a Rainforest Cafe, and I even had the pleasure of meeting one of my heroes at the gas station. Hi, Lightning. I'm a big fan.
This trip was meant to bring our hearts together, not shatter them completely. Was my love for this mega-corporation-owned themed restaurant misplaced? I couldn't wrap my head around it. Maybe I should just forget about this silly goal and just work on repairing what's left of Eddie and I's friendship, and then maybe... Wait, I forgot Eddie hasn't even tried the famous volcano cake. There's still a chance to save him. The most famous item at the Rainforest Cafe, the brownie sparkling volcano dessert. A giant, rich chocolate brownie cake stacked up high, served warm with vanilla ice cream, creamy whipped topping, caramel, and chocolate sauces. It was my only shot to instill the glory of the rainforest inside young Burback's heart. And what a perfect city for our last Rainforest Cafe, Las Vegas. Nothing bad has ever happened in this city, and everyone leaves wealthy emotionally, I think.
So as we arrived to Vegas, I was on top of the world. We got into an Uber and headed for the final Rainforest Cafe.
And I had the fire of ambition in my heart. Once Eddie knew that all he had to eat was that volcano, I could see the sparkle of joy in his eyes. And I was surprised too. He was being such a meanie 1,712 miles ago. Approaching this final Rainforest Cafe, we were filled with passion. And so we entered that rainforest. We ordered that volcano, and there it was, in all its glory.
Watching it arrive to the table was as joyous as I could only assume looking at your child for the first time is.
All it took was one bite, and I knew Eddie's mind had changed. I could see it in his eyes.
It was very sweet. It was super sweet. But I didn't care because as I was finishing up, I realized that I was done. It was over.
We had completed our task and gone to every single Rainforest Cafe in North America.
Stepping out into the super hot Vegas air was one of the best feelings I've ever felt in my life. 3 whole weeks, 18 Rainforest Cafes checked off the list.
And Eddie was a bigger Rainforest Cafe fan than ever. Look how happy it is. There's no other reason why he could be happy right now.
Ted and I had done the impossible, and I'm assuming we set a world record, but I don't know if there's a record that they were measuring for this, but I'm pretty sure we're the first to do this.
Ontario Mills, Galveston, Texas, Bloomington, Minnesota, Niagara Falls. We had done them all. We were true heroes. And what did I have to show for it? You may be asking? Well, every Rainforest Cafe gives you a free souvenir cup every time you buy a specific type of drink. So now, ladies and gentlemen, I have a souvenir cup from every single Rainforest Cafe in the country. Guinness Book of World Records, your move.
So we had an incredible night in Vegas.
We ended that night with a quiet moment in front of the Bellagio fountain, reflecting on the journey we'd been on.
We gazed out onto the bright cityscape of our final stop, and we almost couldn't believe it.
And finally, after 21 days, it was time to go home. Home sweet home. Oh, shit. So, I am now back from my journey across the country. And to be honest, even though this bit was very dumb, I'm really proud of what me and Ted have done over the last 3 weeks. We got to travel the country and see so many amazing parts of it, meet a lot of really cool new people, see family and friends. But I think at the heart of all of it, the big thing that shines through
is the Rainforest Cafe. Not only is the ambiance of every restaurant incredible, but really what it's all about is the food. It nourished me on the road trip in ways that I could only describe as food or in my stomach. So I have to thank you, Rainforest Cafe, for being such a friend to me during this trip across the country, because really, you were the best part of all of it. And on that note, I should say that I'm lying. Oh my God, I will never step foot in a Rainforest Cafe ever again if I have to see one of those animatronics or eat a safari fry again. The safari fries, they're just fries. You can't just put safari in front of something and make it a new food. It's just a fry.